Hey guys. Hey classless. Good to see you. Welcome. No time difference. We're right on time. Welcome. How's it going? Happy Saturday. It is Saturday, isn't it? How's it going? So I'll take a couple of minutes and just talk to you guys and address a couple of things. And then I will drop the link for my special guest and we'll get this party started. Hey, Melly, how's it going? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. What's going on? Uh, How's it going? Sorry, sometimes I feel a little bit awkward when I'm off cam and I take like a little pause. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. So tonight I'm going to be having a very special guest, and she's going to come on and share her story. And then after that, I'll open up the panel and we can get some feedback. No time difference. Yeah, so funny. Sometimes it's so funny when there's like a time zone difference. It shows really weird, you know. I think for some reason that everything is automatically set to California time on YouTube, although I could be way wrong. It just seems to look that way. It's odd. So I figured obviously I would address, the elephant in the room. I know a lot of people had drastic reactions to Glam with Kimberly's interview with Michelle. And I can't say that I'm surprised because people have drastic reactions to Michelle in general. She elicits a certain emotion from people that usually is not displayed. Michelle just has a way of getting to people. But I thought I really didn't see anything wrong with the interview. Kimberly is my friend, so I back her 100%. And you know, it is what it is. I mean, Michelle is who she is. I think that all of us from the drama community know exactly who Michelle is by now. And, I'm pretty sure that Kimberly knows too a lot about how Michelle is, even just from me alone. I filter in on a lot of stuff. So it's not like she went in with blinders on. She's well aware. She knows, and she knows I'm sure, to keep a smart distance. So I think she handles it well. A lot of people don't have the patience with Michelle. And, I'll be honest, you do have to kind of handle her with kid gloves. You have to, especially if you're trying to get an interview out of her. So I could get it totally. Well, we're all entitled to our opinions, Carrie. But Glam is my friend. She's actually a really good friend of mine. And so I will absolutely defend her 100%. I think she was very respectful about it. Yeah. And we know that if you want to get an interview out of Michelle, you're going to have to handle her with kid gloves. I think that's a given. Hey, Meow Now. How's it going? Right. And I don't think she was buying it hook, line, and sinker, classless. Like, I'm pretty sure that Kimberly is well aware of who Michelle is. And, I mean, I know Kimberly kind of like pretty well by now. So I could tell just from watching her that like she was just basically placating Michelle to get the interview done and to get all the questions answered, without trying to trigger her or get some huge response. Too much patience, right. Or you know what? It's not even that like I don't have that kind of patience because I do, but I would just rather spend it on other things. I would rather give that patience to my daughter or, to my husband or even to my household chores, to be honest, then because like, why am I going to give all this patience for Michelle? And then what do you really get back? Nothing. A slap in the face, if anything. Yeah. But, honestly, I felt really bad at the way everybody was coming at Kimberly after that last night. I felt terrible because I don't think she deserved that. I think she did a great job. She was more than understanding. She sat there with Michelle on panel for what, a good 2 hours. And then she dropped the link. And honestly, I'm going to vouch for her 1,000% here too with this one. She dropped the link. And I tell you, after 2 hours with Michelle on panel, I know damn well that Kimberly couldn't take it anymore with her back and her head. I just know it. So she must have been really, really wanting to end it at that point. I'm really certain. So like when nobody jumped on the link right away, yeah, she ended it. And you know what? She scheduled a live for tomorrow afternoon to address everything, to have an open panel and have people, able to basically air their responses to Michelle. So I think that's a great idea. And hey, natural born leader, you're cooking dinner. All right, cool. Glad you're here. Good to see you. Yeah, but I think you guys were a little bit hard on, not you guys, but like everybody in general. I think people were a little bit hard on Kimberly. I mean, she did the best she could with Michelle. We all know the way she is. So, like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't possibly interview Michelle. Honestly, I wouldn't speak directly to her at this point. That's why I wouldn't even go on panel when she was on Kimberly's panel, like last week, and she said, "Would you want to come up?" I said, "Well, no." No, when Michelle drops, then I went up, but I wouldn't even be on panel with her because I can't do it. Oh, of course. Of course. It's all everything we've heard it all before. We've heard it from her. Yeah. Yeah. But I couldn't have that one-on-one interaction with Michelle now. It's just too draining. It's too draining. So I definitely give her props for that. And I felt bad. Everyone was coming at her so hard last night. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Michelle has nothing new to say. Nothing new to say. She might try to be convincing a new crowd of people now. I think she goes through crowds probably of like her fans or her subscribers, I guess, that are donating. And because she has a few people, but she always, she goes through people. Like, think of how many different batches of mods she had. She went through a good 4 to 5 batches, at least 4 different batches of mods. Thank you. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, guys. I know the cough sounds brutal. Excuse me. I do apologize. I'm gonna get some of those. The hell are those? There's like a lozenge that they make that it's supposed to be like a cough suppressing lozenge. Somebody was talking about them recently. Something pearls. I don't remember who was talking about them. Hey, there she is now, Kimberly. Hi there. I was just talking about you. Kimberly, yeah. I think you did such a great job with Michelle last night. Teflon pearls. Yes. Millie. Oh my God, Millie. You always know exactly what it is that I'm thinking of. And I give like the most minimal descriptions. I feel like I'm not great at describing what it is that I'm thinking a lot. But it's so funny. Millie always knows exactly. Teflon pearls. That's exactly what it is. Thanks, Millie. Yeah, I'm gonna put them in my Walmart card if they have them at Walmart. But yeah, Kimberly, I felt so bad. Honestly, I didn't know what to do. My heart was friggin' breaking for you when you were on panel and you broke down crying. I was like, oh my God, I mean, we all know how Michelle is. So obviously, like I know you. I could see it in your face that you weren't buying her stories when she's telling you her lies, and you're like, okay, Michelle, all right, great answer, moving along. And I'm like, okay, right, because I mean, and a lot of stuff, I mean, there's no excusing it, but a year later, I think we could lighten up a little bit about some of it. Of course, there's no excusing it, but if we're going to laugh at something that's funny and then get yelled at because it's being offensive, I mean, you know, enough is enough. I think it's hard to stay objective because of our mutual hatred for Michelle. And I won't even say that I have a hatred for her. I have a disdain for her. I have a disdain, and also I have just a knowledge of who she is, and so I can't do it. But Kimberly knows that. I think just from Kimberly being such close friends with me, she would know to keep Michelle's at arm's distance, at arm's length. Right, absolutely. So I just wanted to address that a little bit so that there wasn't any like tension in the room about it. If anybody had anything pressing that they really wanted to say. And then if not, I'm going to put the link in the chat for my special guest whenever she's ready. And she can come on up and she's going to share a really incredible story with you guys. Natural born leader, right? Michelle's not easy to handle. And of course, you gotta, hey, Green Goblin, good to see you. Like, of course, you gotta be a certain way if you want to get a decent interview out of her and not have her triggered, and that didn't happen. I mean, I don't think she really got triggered too bad. Uh, exactly. No, it really is, Melly. It is. It's so scary when you think about it. Let me I'll drop the link in the chat for my guest. And I already sent you the link to a while back, but it'll probably be easier for me to just post it here. So I will. At this time, I'm only going to be taking just my special guest speaker, and then after she's done telling her story, and um, when we're done with that, then I'll open up the panel if anybody wants to come up and give some positive feedback, and we could just talk back and forth for a while. Never seen her let someone talk before. Never seen her let someone talk before like she did. Yeah, and a lot of times that's the way it is too. Is that you got to be a certain way with certain people, and especially if you want to get an interview out of them. Oh, hey Jane Doe, welcome. Good to see you. I have a guest. Now let's see. Okay, class list. Okay, I see you. Class list, 2 hours a week. I'm going to add you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi
I'm
there.
trying to figure this out, going through all of our text messages, trying to find that here. I thought I was so prepared. But my friend here
No,
got to quit calling me special. I am not special. I was like, oh goodness, she's really working me up, and there's nothing
aw.
special about me.
Well, you're special to me. You're special to us.
Thank
You
you.
know.
Thank you. And so I got all cozied up. Yeah. And then I seen that it was showing me like an hour before you were live. I was like, goodness gracious, I just got the kiddos, tamed down for dad to manage. And that's kind of
Right,
what I wanted to talk to you about is it's just, I should say trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning whenever I'm on panel, because what I do is not easy, or whenever you hear me talk, it's not for the faint of heart, but we'll
right.
keep it down. I'll try and be as general as possible. I can't see the chat
Sure.
thing. I have never done this before, so just
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Don't even worry about it. You're doing great. You would think you've definitely done it before. I hear you great. You're doing awesome.
This is kind
To see the chat,
of
you just have to go to the bottom and oh, where it says comments. Do you see where it says comments?
through the link that I have a spot that says chat. Let's see what happens there. Chat with everyone in the studio. Oh, comments. There we go. Look at that. Goodness gracious. Now, the problem doing that. Okay. So I'd have to go back and forth, I think, because I didn't want to add StreamYard and then never use it again, you know?
Right, exactly.
I'm a
Hey,
broke.
Carlotta.
So I'll just, and trust me, I multitask well with all these kiddos. However, reading the chat and trying to talk to you, I may not be so well at. So,
No, don't even worry about it. If you want to just feel free to share your story. If you glance at the chat and you want to address something, then go for it. If not, you could even scroll through and look at the chat after you're
check it every
done.
now and then. Okay, there we
Either
go.
way,
Okay.
I know
So
we
I
haven't
just
spoken
joking. I
before, but
know, right? It's so fun to finally get to talk to you in person because I will say, before someone decides to say, "Oh my God, classless says this," or said this, yes, I spoke some ish on Tara back in the back in the time. I even got real clever and did like the Sanderson sisters. I don't know,
oh
we were in
yeah.
God's chat and it was in Telegram and they were talking. So I had like you, Michelle, and Ski. The bad thing is even Ski looked pretty. It was like the app I used, like you all look gorgeous. It was
Did you did you
like
make that picture?
yes, I did. It was like I already had it on my phone because I have all my kids love Hocus Pocus, so we had put our own faces in there, and
Yeah.
then they were talking about it, and so I put that in Telegram. And I was like, "Dang, they look good." That's like it was,
I thought
but
that was actually great. I thought that was
I,
hysterical.
I, I honestly, I never talk too horrible about anyone. Of course, with MS, I've definitely spoke my ish, but I really truly believed because coming from the perspective of a sub, it is, and I have never given a view to MS at all. So I've only ever seen what comes from clips, and I love the clip
Okay.
channels. So then it's like, yeah, I was completely buying that you were this evil person, the mastermind behind,
Oh yeah, I'm
just
sure a lot of
pulling the
people thought
strings.
that.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I was literally trying to tell people, like, am I the only one seeing this? Like, no, poor, because I was a white knight fighter for her. I really was fighting for her in the beginning. However, then you came up and talked and told your story, and I was like, my goodness, how you could misread someone so easily on this platform, and that's
Yeah.
kind of a scary thing. It's it really is about perception and like you, well, I think you said you came in from another one, but I came in from the KJ stuff and then fell into Charlotte that direction, and
Okay.
it was kind of a, yeah, this was the class list was, so I did want to address that. The class list was because at the time I had three jobs and was in school. And so on my time off, I would watch, I don't know, it was some, you know, drama, like reality TV show, you know,
Okay.
not necessarily, uh, high class TV. And so
Right,
when
right.
I only had a couple of hours that I could sneak in, and then I would binge watch 2 hours of this. And then I ran out of episodes. So then I was like, all right, well, then I started following the YouTube. And other than that, I've only ever had playlists and music and stuff. So that's how I came about.
Yeah.
And then I had so many people. I don't know, and I've always been curious with you. Was there some type of um, behind the scenes joke about being classy? Because she kept like reiterating, be classy. You're not being classy. Well, that sent a whole spin of people thinking that I was this mole for MS. And I was like, no, I'm just a sub. I'm nobody. I promise. Like,
Oh,
I promise
because
I'm
of your
nobody.
name.
Yes. Yes. So I'm seeing this like, come up in this certain chat. And I was like, No, I promise. I'm nobody here. Like I told you, I'm a square peg and I was just trying to find somewhere to fit in, but you've always been so kind to me and I love the chat here. But
Aw, thank
moving
you.
on. So
I'm
I,
so glad.
as I've
I'm
told
so glad.
you, well, and everybody's like, well, she pops in and then doesn't show up. Yes, I do. And I pop from chat to chat. And I have been, guilty of riding the fence because again, you hear one side and then you're like, oh yeah. And then you hear another side and you're like, oh, but wait. So it does
Right.
kind of, pull you back and forth. But like I told you before, the truth is my ish just don't run that deep. And there
Yeah.
is so much real life that I have chose to and that I face daily that it's just that kind of stuff for me. Like I told you, entertainment purposes only. And
Right.
if I gift, it's because I want to and I choose to, and I'm grateful that they entertained me for my couple of hours that I had free. Because sometimes
Yeah.
that's the only adult time I get. I'm not gonna lie. So, but
Yeah.
I think that you really, I felt more of a connection to you when you brought your daughter in because
Aw.
it has been such a struggle in my life to, I guess, have other people who deal with, you know, autism and autism spectrum disorder on a regular basis and navigating that with the kiddos and to see you do it with such grace and I just
Oh,
I
thank
absolutely
you.
admire that such a great deal. But
Oh
so
my God,
now,
thank you so much.
I mean, so I don't really know what to say. Like I said, there's nothing special. It's just kind of a thing that had been. I was not mother of the year to my own biological children. Now they, they're good kids, and they're like, "Mom, you're a great mom." But of course, we hold so many things to ourselves of, "Oh, I wish I'd have done this different," or "I wish I would have." I was young and you think that, oh, you got all the time in the world, and then now I've got kids that I have grandchildren who are older than kids that I have now. So
Oh,
it's
really?
yes, I've got we are respite care for foster. I guess
Okay.
begin as respite care for foster, and then have had the ones we have now are were both considered non-placeable children, and
Oh,
of course
wow.
they come in and um, I had a lot of kids through the years. I've taken care of a lot of kids that were not biologically mine, and but had never, delved into the licensing and I guess educating myself more on trauma and autism spectrum and different things that that I guess would be tools to have going into this. So I had several kids through the years that had come to me and I'd cared for, I guess you'd consider it more of kinship placement. For whatever reasons, their parents were unable to take care of them and they just kind of ended up kind of in our life. And one of my older ones, so you'll hear me talk about a lot of kids, and most of them are not biologically mine. One of our older ones
Okay.
had come to me later on, and he said, if I would have came to you first, but he had been in the system and been through several homes by the time that mom had gotten him back, and then mom got in trouble, and he came back, and then he came to us.
Oh, wow.
And he told my daughter, he said, if this would have been my first, things would have been so different. So that kind of,
Um,
encouraged me to move down the respite care so that maybe we could just make it a happy pit stop, if that makes sense,
oh,
between
yeah.
whether, it's mom and dad are in trouble or for whatever reason, they're unable. And then just until they find placement, instead of making this a traumatic or a trauma in their lives of being in a temporary placement, we'll just make it a
Yeah.
party. We'll just make it a fun and hopefully it'll leave us a good memory.
Like
And
knowing
then
that it's transitional. Yeah.
yes, yes, and try to keep it as least traumatic on the kids as possible. And then the ones
Oh,
that are here
wow.
now, like I said, they both came in as respite, and really quickly we were let know that, they just didn't have places for them. And there's just nowhere else to go. I mean, there's group homes and so forth. And so they've been here a while, and and it's tough. It's tough. It's the most challenging thing I've ever done by far, but the most valuable thing, if that makes sense. I think I
Oh
obviously
yeah,
my own children. I hold great value into to them, and but it's
naturally, yeah.
it's kind of that. Yeah. So, but I am struggling navigating the little one who we, as I told you, we don't have a diagnosis in place because we don't know what is trauma. Trauma and autism mirror each other so much that it is hard to know at 5. I'm, I want to be careful on the kids' information, but on the other hand, I do think
Oh
that
sure,
it needs to be out. Um, at 5, is is this autism spectrum disorder? Is this you know from the trauma that he's endured? And
right, right.
it's it's kind of navigating that, and not knowing. I mean, last night was the first time that we had tried. So the little one does not like to leave the house. He 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 is perfectly fine and happy if he's home. And
Okay.
if we go to leave, he gets all excited. He'll get all dressed up, and then as soon as we're getting ready to leave, he will do something to get himself unable to go. Something to where it'll
Oh,
be I throw my hands up and say, "All right, we're just not going," or
mm,
we'll make it
yeah.
out. And then we'll go into kind of meltdowns and have to turn around and come home. And then he's perfectly happy once he gets home. So
Okay.
it was kind of last night was the first time that we're going to go into a set down restaurant, and we're going to try again. And like I said, I worked for 3 straight months, and just doing exercises with him and hoping that we can kind of make this next push. And we were so ready, and he's all dolled up, and he's got his little mohawk going, which he's so proud of. And then we get
Fun.
out, and the second that we sit down in the restaurant, you can just kind of see him kind of blank out and zone out, and that okay, this is kind of the turn. This is
Right.
where it's going to happen. And of course, you just you know my husband just kind of gently says, "Come on with dad," and he just picks him up and walks out so that we don't disrupt the whole restaurant.
Yeah.
But I have to
Yeah.
say, most people are good about understanding, and you don't get the reaction that you got when I was raising my kids. When I was raising
Um.
my kids, your kid breaks down in a store, and everybody looks at you like you were just the worst parent ever, and you need to get that brat
Yeah.
under control. And it's just absolutely. But
Different
now,
times.
yes,
Yeah.
different
Totally different
times.
times.
There is so much more education out there, and it is.
Oh,
But I think there is. It's hard, Tara, because we go, and the phone rings all the time for placements. It doesn't end, and there's
does
only
it
so.
really?
Oh goodness, yes. I'd say there are weeks where we do 2 to 3 calls a day,
Oh my
and
God.
it is.
Oh
It's
wow.
you want to say yes to everybody. You want to, and then a lot of children can't be placed with other children. There are things that come in.
Oh yeah,
However,
I'm sure there's all
yes,
different stipulations
yes,
and stuff at play. Yeah.
yes. But I go
Oh
so many
wow.
times, and I'm like, we can't take them all. You can't save them all. You just hope that we can somehow, maybe one of these kids break the cycle of addicted parents. Our kiddos were all born addicted, so they all have already had kind of a you know starting off life
Right.
with having a little bit of a setback right from the get-go. And and then there's so many times where we have one that
Mm,
he loves mom and dad, and I encourage that, and I try and tell him, your mom and dad are not bad people. They are good people, and they love you. And I don't think that
Um,
we I think there are so many who don't understand the trickle down effect of their actions. And that's a lot of what we're going through here on these YouTube streets is people not being able to predict or not have the skills to predict what their action may unfold into. And we all do it. I can make a comment here in jest or, call MS messy pants and not even
right.
consider how badly that could end up going in a wrong direction because it's just being flippant. However,
Sure.
there's so many
Hey,
cases
James Bond.
where
Hey.
you're just going, okay, I don't think that, you know, mom had planned on this being where you ended up, this being how this came to be. And and then I see
Yeah.
my kiddo who has that same is unable doesn't have that skill either. And we're getting older and older and I'm going, we're not able to predict if I do this, this is going to be the possible effect of it. Not in the moment, tomorrow, the next day, a year from now, 2 years from now, how this is
Right.
going to just be a trickle effect and it's going to go down and it's going to affect so many lives. But
Yeah.
it's
I think
something that,
that thought process, I feel like that's a thought process that it's common in addiction, and it's common even, I think, in maybe like in people that are predisposed to that, like, before they
oh,
even have any kind of addiction.
very much so. I absolutely agree. This
Um,
is exactly. And I don't know, I never had an
oh
addictive
man.
personality. So, I tell them all the time, I tell my kids all the time, I could have been just as easily been the one who got in trouble. I was doing the same darn thing that
Right.
this person over here was doing. I just didn't get caught. And
Right.
I mean, it's just the
Sure.
truth. Of course,
Yeah.
I was young, but it's just the truth. And I was like, it could have just as easily been me. I was um, lucky enough to just not be. I could go and party with my friends and do things that I would never want my kids to know I did, and then turn around the next day and go on about life. And they're still stuck in that spot. And even
Yeah.
30, 35 years later, some of them are still stuck in that spot.
Oh
They're
wow.
still, you know, and I just, for me, like I said, it was just something that I, you know, I'm thankful for that I just didn't have that addictive personality. It just wasn't something that I could just do something and then go on the next day and it be gone for me. And then
Right.
they would do it and then treatment centers and everything else to try and break that. And so I get really encouraged when you told your story. And but like I said, it's just kind of one of those things that it we see so much on here. Oh, we can't, I have to leave the chat because we're talking about the kids. And I understand it
Mm,
is hard. But they're also, trust me, this is not easy for me. I have my own triggers that come up with, you know, cases left and right. However,
right.
it's just one of those things that if we can't turn our backs either. So it's like this fine line of what we can handle and not letting this cycle just continue and have so many little ones, and it's all across the country. I asked them
Mm,
what happens when they do a statewide search and there's no placement. Well, then it goes
right.
to a nationwide search, and most likely they'll end up in a group home in another state. And
Okay.
there are so many states that are so overpopulated that kids run away and they just, I mean, honestly,
Uh,
even to look for them, they just don't have the resources. There's just so many.
oh
But
my God.
yeah, we get a lot of calls. We get a
Now,
lot of calls quite often.
are these calls all coming from like ACS, like Children's Services?
Yes, some yeah, there's they kind of once your name goes out, once your home goes out, several services are given your information. Now,
Okay.
we do have a primary person that ideally they would go to, and that person would then, and my gosh, they are such a blessing. I mean, we just couldn't do this without that person. And now, ideally, they'll go through them. They can vet them and see if different things, and I know that it sounds bad, but different things like, can they be placed with another child? Do they have
Right.
things that they do that are triggers for me? And you don't want their triggers and my triggers to clash, um, and me to be
Right.
triggered by something that they should do, or vice versa. So
Yeah,
you
just to
you
be
kind
realistic about it. Yeah.
yes, it's very real. So however, once you are put out there, it is kind of hard to reel that back in. And at that point, um pretty much most of them, I was going to say, I don't know of anyone that we haven't really heard from in the state at one point or another. And and it's just, you know okay, this is, and for us, we're kind of the last stop. We're kind of the last stop. This is, if we can't do it, then they usually don't have much. There's usually not a place after us. That's just the truth.
Oh,
um,
wow.
it's hard. It's very hard. It's hard when you have to, because it's so, we want to say, oh, we would never give up on someone, we would never give up on someone, and you just don't. And the the simple truth is when you realize that you can't help someone, you have to just have it, what I call it, come to Jesus moment, and you just have to say, this is one that I can't help. And
Um,
I think that's why I'm able to, I guess, white knight or show some grace in other areas, is because
yeah.
I've had so many mental disabilities, that have come through. Now
Oh, wow.
I'm a tough place. They call me the warden sometimes, and I'm like, don't call me that. But it does have to be strict and structured, and it
Oh,
is
yeah. I could
very much.
imagine it does.
Yes, it's very structured here. There's a bit of, for me, it's a bit of, you can be a victim or a volunteer, and i I can have compassion and I can cry for them when I'm off by myself. but
On.
but most of the time, I mean, of course, every kid is different. And
Oh,
that
yeah.
was, someone else I was speaking with today. I said, it's like they hand you a manual. With our biological children, we're not given a manual on how to take care of our kids.
Right.
But with this, they hand you a manual. This is how we want you to do it. This is what we want you to say. These are your things. And like, every person is different. Every kid is different. Every situation is different. And the way I handle one may not be the same thing that works with another.
Oh, totally. Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's completely different. But I was curious as to if you ever had that, because this is the first time I've dealt with such a struggle to leave the house.
Aw.
It's This is just kind of the first time that I've dealt with the this one has some
Um,
new stuff in there for me, and this has been trying, and it's difficult, but you just keep pressing forward. I don't
right.
I don't know. Of course, you do all the things that you're taught and all the things that you're schooled and all the things the book says, but this
Yeah.
one here just is not okay with leaving the house. And
Yeah.
it's I didn't know if that was something that was common in
And
you know like and I told you that I was diagnosed with Asperger's very young.
right.
And so it can be a hoot around here, let me tell you. But I was like, and I know that I get anxiety leaving the house.
So do I. So do I. And I self identify as Asperger's, you know. and I'm pretty sure that I'm right with my self-diagnosis because everything just like it's not like, I took some kind of first I took like an online questionnaire. It was like
Yes.
20 it was like 20 out of 20 questions. It wasn't like 15 out of 20. It was
Oh,
almost
yeah.
like and
Was
then
yeah.
like when I look at so many things, like so many things, not only with Evelyn, but with so many other kids on the spectrum that I've met, it's just like so many things make sense. But I also have major anxiety with leaving my own home. And Evelyn is not that into it either.
See, I was curious because
Yeah,
I
I
know
think
that,
it might be
yeah,
common.
I thought it was a me thing. It's always been something that if I prepare for something, I am more likely to come up with an excuse not to do it.
If
If
you
I
do prepare for it,
if I prepare for it, and I that sounds silly, but
okay.
if we're talking about, okay, we're all going to have a family day over here, I will get myself so worked up that by the time comes, I will find 20 reasons that I can't do it. If it's just on the
I
spur
could
of the
relate.
moment, I might just say, okay, let's go
It's
now
easier.
in that moment.
Right. You know what? I could so relate with if it's spontaneous, I might
Yes.
just agree to doing something. Whereas if I plan for it a week before, right, I'll definitely
Yes.
have reasons ready to go.
Yes. Oh, yes. I have excuses in my pocket at all times. It's
Oh
like
my God.
there is, I'm like, pull one out because there's always an excuse to, and it just really, I think that's part of my life is, making myself work, making myself get out of my comfort zone, which is part of getting up here with you. Anything that's out of my comfort zone. I didn't do it
Yeah.
younger, but now that I'm getting older, these are things that I want to force myself to do, is just get out of my
Right.
comfort zone and talk on panel with Tara, who I'm comfortable with. So,
Thank you. I'm so glad you are. I love it. I'm so glad. I want everybody to feel welcome. I
and
would never want for someone
you are
to
so
feel some kind
kind.
of way.
Yeah. I mean, you are so kind and so good. And
Thank you.
I
So are you.
I have
Thanks.
so many creators that I really like. I adore Kimberly. I adore, you know, Jenny Jen Jen. And I just,
Right.
I've got several that I like. And I was with you on the bot thing. I'm just kind of like, you know,
I
it is
know.
what it is. It kind of is a bummer. But I have to
Yeah.
say, there are so many people. And so it's known, I've had so many people who are so good and say, hello and hi classless, and I am so bad about being able to see it and respond that I feel bad all
Oh.
the time. Like I would be in Charlotte's, and
Hey,
you'd have Mitten
grateful.
Mama, so many people who would come along and say hi classless, and I was like, gosh, I seem like such a rip, because the truth is I just can't stay up with it. I'm
Yeah.
always 10 steps behind, but I definitely feel comfortable here, and I think that what you've done has been different, and a a nice space for everybody, and I
Oh, thank
appreciate that so
you.
much.
Thank you so much. That's what I was really hoping to achieve here. I said just to get like a little positive group going where people could feel safe. And if someone does want to come on and actually share their story like you were doing, they would feel safe and welcome to do it. I would hate to create some kind of a space where people would not feel welcome,
Well, and
or
that's the
people would
thing.
not
And
feel safe.
yes, you've kept it that way. It's been, like you touched on in the beginning, people are going to have differing opinions, and they're going to say some
Right.
ish on people. But the truth is it's
Exactly.
always been, and that's what I've seen out of Kimberly too, is just be respectful, be kind. We don't have to come in here being mean and messy, and the
Yeah.
truth is sometimes it's not as entertaining not to have all the hoopla and the but sometimes people like me need just a calm space, and this is a calm space for me. I know, don't take this offensively, but it's so bad because my husband has to go to sleep to your voice all the time, and he's like, I fall asleep so many times. And I told him, I said, because your voice is calming. It's
Oh
calming,
my
and that is
God.
what I need. And I start watching with good
Oh,
intention. And I struggle to sleep. So this is a huge compliment because I
Oh,
really struggle with sleeping. And I was like, I start watching with
thank
good intentions,
you.
and it's not
Oh,
not boredom. Engaged, and then it's just like you just have a calming effect about you. And
oh, I'm glad.
that's something that I definitely appreciate. And I used to Charlotte back early on. I was like, Charlotte always had that calming, that just that
Yes,
calm vibe that was just like, oh my goodness, I have to rewatch it. So he's like, okay, who am I
she
going to sleep to
does.
tonight? But we it's I don't know.
Oh,
There's
thank you
so
so
many
much.
things that are big in real life that we
Right,
tend to, and heck, that's what YouTube is for,
exactly.
is to get away and escape those things.
This is supposed to be our
And
entertainment, it's supposed to
yes,
be taken pretty lightly. I don't think
yes.
any of this is supposed to be taken that seriously. We're
Well, and
here
it's
to just relax and, get our
exactly.
entertainment and unwind or whatever, but not to stress out and fight with each other.
Exactly. And I cannot imagine having well, I get if you've had a personal interaction as you have. But when you haven't, from an outside looking in, I can't imagine, having you and I having a different opinion and then going at each other, because there is nothing
You're right,
that is
right.
so deep in the YouTube drama that would, now again, that I'm not talking about the ones who have had personal one-on-one experiences. I'm talking from an outsider. Of course,
Exactly.
Michelle, I mean, goodness gracious, she is the gift that keeps on giving. She just truly is. And
Right?
it's a gift that, you might
Yeah.
stomp on at your door if someone lights fire on it. However, it is what it is. It's kind of that, it's there's there's a funness to being able to get out and just kind of be classless for a couple of hours and have fun with it. But I cannot imagine really having a disdain for, you know this person or that person, because it's not affected me personally. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. It's
it's
not like
not.
somebody that you have a phone calls with and
Yes,
you have this personal
exactly.
one-on-one relationship.
Yes.
Yeah,
And since I don't, I'm just not going to get in, so I had a lot of fun in bots and I miss bot, but I'm not going to get
right.
overly angry and vile over her, because she was always kind to me. She always said, "Hey, classes," and that's all
Sure.
I could expect from someone is, and another thing as a
Right.
creator that I struggle with how you all deal with is the people who will, and gosh, that sounded really bad. Um, when someone will say, "Oh, well, never mind, I guess, just nobody's paying attention to me," because I would have a hard
Uh,
time watching the chat and answering people and being on panel. So I
yeah,
sit there and I was like, "Oh,
definitely.
show her some
Definitely.
grace. How hard
Not
does it have to
only
be to catch this comment?"
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Just even just having a one-on-one conversation, I'm like, I don't know, I'm not going to keep interrupting you to be like, "Hi, Grateful MC. Hi, Glenn with Kimberly. Hi, James Blunt." Like that's just me, but then again, I'm not
I was
really
going to say,
used
and
to it
feel
and,
free to, because like I said, I don't get adult conversation often, so I will
you
talk your
know,
ear off to have it.
no, but like that's just the way I
But
am. But like
yeah,
then there's creators that they would do that while someone's talking, and so everybody's
yeah,
different, But like for me, I don't know, I couldn't really do it. But then so say if I didn't address somebody and they'd be like, "Damn, I went in and I
you didn't
complimented
acknowledge
that
me.
Countess Tara, and she didn't even say nothing back."
Yes, yes, and that's where I would feel so bad
Yeah,
for
it's
the creators,
true.
because I'm like, oh my goodness, how can you stay up with this person's? I can't. I'm just paying attention to the chat, and I can't stay up with all the comments coming through. So, I cannot imagine how you do it. Or I mean, I'm just so proud of you, because it is to just do
Oh,
what you've
thank
done.
you.
And honestly, I am no doctor by far. However, if you can relate and you feel like that is probably a diagnosis, the truth is you're probably correct. And
Yeah.
that's something that I don't just say to anybody, but that's just the honest truth about it. If you can relate and you understand and you're saying, "Oh, that's me, that's me, that's me," more than likely you're probably correct.
It
And
was so weird to me when I came to that conclusion, because then I was like, "Oh my God, so much stuff just from like my whole life kind of
yes,
added up." Like my mom
yes,
used to always tell everybody, "Tara's different." Tara's
yeah,
just like different. She's very sensitive. She's just different. Like I don't know how to explain it. And she just always said
yes.
that. And it was just so many like different like things that I had that nobody else really had,
Well, it's
different
so
little
true,
things.
and that's kind of where it was.
And I just had
In
no
I
clue.
have a feeling I'm quite a few years older than you, but that's where it was when I was growing up. Was, oh, she marches to the beat of her own drum, and there's so many misconceptions. First they had labeled me ADD, which I have no doubt I still am, as you can probably tell. Um, and but people assume that's ADHD, and there
Okay,
is
yeah.
nothing farther from the truth. I'm hyper in moments. I can have anxiety energy that'll kind of make me a little hyper, but I was not a hyper kid. I was a very quiet, and you wouldn't know it by how much I'm talking, but inherently I'm pretty shy, and uh, I have grown up to try and combat that with, I guess, talking. And
Right.
it's
Yeah.
but I was
Yeah.
the
No,
same
I
way,
am
and that's why I
too.
said I'm always the square peg. I would go in and think, you know, oh, I like these people, and then I wouldn't get a response, and I realized that my perception of things is different than the neurotypicals, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I think that it can be a gift and a curse. There's times where I can come in at a
Right.
different perception, and somebody, you know, be, I guess, willing to receive it and say, okay, I can see that as well. And there's sometimes where I realize that, oh goodness, everybody around me is seeing this in one direction and I'm seeing this in a completely other.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so funny because I feel like the exact same way
Yes.
with
It's
certain things, and it
yes.
blows my mind. It usually baffles me too, where I'm like, "What
Yes.
the hell?"
Yes. And you think, am I that alone on my own little island, that I'm the only person who sees it in this
Excuse
way?
me.
And
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. For
it
sure, that's
yeah.
happened to me so many times with like really strange things, where it's like, oh my God, yeah. And I would think like, is it just me or is it everybody else?
Yes, daily interactions can
Like,
go
am I
straight over
bugging?
my head and I will take it in a completely different way. And
Sure.
I will say that I am um good about, I consider myself thin-skinned because, like you said, very very empathetic. People, oh goodness gracious, is that completely wrong. You know,
Yeah,
autism spectrum disorder is more likely to be very empathetic. I mean, it's just we tend to
absolutely.
take on the feelings of the person beside us, whether they have anything to do with us or not. and
Right.
and that can be a problem on something like here, because like I said,
Oh
I can
yeah.
be one place and hear one thing and feel for them, and then catch another side and go, well, I missed that completely. And okay, well, I feel for them
Yeah.
too, because you tend to take on those kind of energies from other people. My kiddos are
Right.
so compassionate. I mean, they are
Oh yeah.
so compassionate. And to believe that anybody thought that they were unable to, be compassionate or be, if anything, I don't even have, I can be trying to not let them notice that something's wrong. Example, I had a rough call on one, and I was really trying to not let the other ones know, and just take it and go on about their day, because they don't need to hear about all the other cases and all the other things. I do my best to give them as
Um,
much of a I guess a typical lifestyle as possible, because the truth is at
yeah.
some point they're going to turn 18, they're going to go out into the world, and there are not going to be paths mowed down for them. and people to get show them grace. The world can
And
be a
that's
cruel
true.
place. And I had an older one, and I really thought I was keeping this under wraps. And I go in, and the kitchen is spotless. And he comes up and he gives me a hug, and he's like, "Ma, I seen that it looked like you were having a bad day."
Oh my
And it
God.
was the sweetest thing. And I'll just say he's a teenage boy,
Oh,
and boys can be rough.
yeah.
And so it was the sweetest thing to have him pick up on just my energy and know that something was off, and know that for me, a way to show love to me, something that I greatly appreciate, is helping with household chores or doing the dishes, taking
Right.
that off of my shoulders, something like that. It is
Yeah.
yeah. Even the
Aw.
little ones, sometimes something will happen, and you just try to go on and not miss a beat, and not put it to where they don't. And he'll come over and just lay his head on my shoulder, and they know,
They feel
it's,
it.
yes,
Yeah.
it is a gift that I don't know that everyone is gifted with. It's
That's
yes.
true. That's definitely true. Yeah. Definitely not everyone is.
No. And now,
But
on the same note, we can go to a restaurant, and no matter how many times I try to teach, and like, this is how we present ourselves at a restaurant, and this is what we say when a waiter or waitress comes up, and this is, can I please have this, sir? And then you'll have one say, get me this. You're like, no, 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 no. And I have learned to, I will
okay.
address it in the moment, because
Right.
it's used to, I would try to wait until we got an hour, wait until they leave, so it didn't disrupt anybody else, and say, no, we don't want to talk like that. Here's how we want to say it, so the next time they come over, let's practice and say it this way. And
Yeah.
this can make them feel bad, and they don't have to do it for us. They're doing this for us,
Right.
as a service, and it's a service that
Yeah.
they could just as easily not do. And then, of course, you always have those moments, but now, like I said, the people are more educated, things are different. And this just happened last
Oh
night. I
yeah.
just stopped the waiter, and I said, I apologize. And I reiterated to him, I said, can you ask him this way, please? Sir, could you please get me this? And just as easy as it could be, sir, could you please get me this? And could I please have this?
Um.
And I think that we're definitely coming to a different place with people knowing, educating themselves, being a little easier. But there is still, like I
Sure.
said, it's there's not going to be a lot of grace when they get older.
That's
And
what it is. You're so right. That's something I think a lot of us don't really think about, or tend to put off thinking about, don't want to think about. But
yes,
right, once our kids, no matter how great we raise them, and no matter what we
yes,
put into them, really, they're still going out into the world. And when they're
yes,
18, they're not going to get given that grace that we would give them.
exactly. And that's what you and I touched
Absolutely.
on in text. Is it's something that, with our
That's
biological
true.
children, you don't have that in the forefront of your mind as much as you do when the kiddos come to you, and that your job is to prepare them for the outside world. It
Yeah.
is it's kind of a turn there. When it's our biologicals, it's like, this, my job is to nurture them and do the best I can. And then we kind of just pray that by the grace of God, we've done all we can by them to go out. And in this situation, you they come, and the whole idea is it's like, it's almost like, I don't want to say boot camp, but it's like a fast track to, this is how you're going to have to be, because the real world is going to be hard. When you leave these doors, it's not going to be easy. And people are not going to, you go to a waiter and say, get me this, he might spit in your
Yeah.
drink. you know
Right.
it's just kind of one.
Exactly.
Yes. I'm so
How
Now,
long?
I
Oh,
feel
I'm
like I've
sorry.
taken up so much of your time here, and I don't want to do that. And
No,
I look
I've
an
been
absolute mess. I snuggled up on my deck, and of course, the leaves in the storm have really. hit it. Oh goodness gracious! I think it's just black, but I was
Totally
gonna at
black,
least
yeah.
yes. Of
Total
course, I don't know
blackness.
what I'm doing. I'm I have no idea what I'm doing here. And yeah, I see the camera, but I wouldn't know how to make that happen. I
There's
just see a camera, and I was like, ah, I do have a face. I do promise I have a face. Well, oh, it is me because I'm seeing some light, or maybe that's from my house
Oh
phone.
yeah, I'd see some light.
Yeah, there's something there, and but I don't want to hold up your panel. But I
Thank
was,
you so
yeah,
much for coming on.
Oh
Thank you so
no,
much for
thank you
sharing
for
your
giving
story.
me
It's
sharing your
fascinating,
platform for
really
me.
fascinating. I hope that people might be inspired when they hear your story and consider doing the same thing themselves, you know?
Yeah, there is a lot
You
of
never know.
it does become hard when
These children do need a safe place to go, right? I mean,
absolutely, absolutely, and
I
it
hope
does.
people will
We
think
get
about it.
people sometimes who are, oh, this is so good, and I'm going to say there is nothing special about us at all. Absolutely zero special about us. These kids are a blessing in our lives. It is not the other way around.
Or
And I am so grateful
that's
for
beautiful.
everyone that has come through our doors. And even the ones that I felt we did not have the tools to help them succeed. And
Yeah.
they're always hard. I remember my husband, when we first delve into this, he said, and I guess I kind of always knew I was going to do it. And mind you, Tara, I was not this big kid person. I was not the person people called babysit. Let me tell you that. They knew that,
Oh,
I loved
really?
it. Yes, they knew that I loved to have the kids, spoil the kids, and let the kids go home. So it's,
Yeah.
but when we started this, he said, what are we going to do when they leave? Because I'm going to be heartbroken. And the only thing I could tell him was, we're adults, and I've had my heart broken many times in my life. And so we can handle it. But what we try to prevent is for their little hearts to be broken and them to have to deal with
Oh,
any more heartbreak than they've already dealt with in life, and have to deal with it too early. It's the truth is as adults, we know. I mean, goodness, breakups and you know
right. That's
people
true.
going on in our lives, and things that we have to go through as adults. And it's like, okay,
Sure.
I can handle heartbreak. It stinks, but I can do it. So that
Oh,
is,
well.
it's still the hardest thing though. Like I said, every time
And
one
how
is,
have they responded? How have the kids responded when it's their
oh
time
my
to move
goodness.
on?
Um, I just had one leave the other day, so it's been a tearful week for me. Um, it's never easy when they go. However, I really keep it positive when they're going, and
Mm,
just this is a good thing for you. Try and put as much excitement in them, or I guess not excitement, but positive thinking towards it as I can.
sure.
And he comes up, and when certain ones in certain situations leave, it is policy they are not allowed body to body contact. um,
Okay.
that's a lot with the older ones. So the thought behind that is to make sure that they wouldn't be slip something, and
Oh,
if
oh,
that makes
okay.
sense. So a
Yeah.
lot of times, some some won't even allow you to hug them when they go, and it's like, okay, we're going from here. You do not collect $200. You do not stop. You just you are, this is from this room to the car. And this one just ran back and grabbed me real tight. And he's like, just so you know, this
Mm,
isn't your fault. I made this decision. And he's like, you're a good mom. And it just, I mean, it liked it. Like I said, I try to be stoic, but
yeah.
I told my husband, I said, that moment, I just about fell to my knees. I was like, oh, this is
Oh
hard.
my
Because the
God.
thing is this is not, a lot of times it's not in our hands. And there does come a time where I have to make a decision. Am I helping them, or am I enabling them? And it's a tough one. It's a tough one to come to reality, because most
Yeah.
cases they are really good hearted, good kids who I just simply don't have the tools, and they they have histories that are more than I am equipped, if that makes sense. I'm trying to be very
Right.
general. Um,
Sure. Oh, yeah.
and like I said, there's
Yeah.
just a lot of prayer involved and a lot of, okay, so now ha- this is a decision that I have to make. And sometimes it's not
Right.
even in my hands. It's this one here had something happen outside of here, and it was just, okay, this was your last chance. And then it's just, it's done. And yeah, it's, but now the little one, that one has been that one is limiting us right now on, we've been really up and down about making the decision because we are older. Like I said, we have grandkids who are older than the youngest in our house, and
Okay.
it's kind of
That's
this that
right.
yes, yes. And he calls, my kids aunts and uncles. He said, he doesn't refer to them as brothers and sisters because it just wouldn't really register, that, if that makes sense, because they are,
Okay.
my kids are in their 20s and 30s, so it just doesn't,
Right.
quite register there. But
Yeah.
he's so he he takes and I've given you some of his backstory. I've given you a lot. Yeah, I mean, you get the gist of it. It is
Yeah.
probably the worst case of trauma that I've encountered, and I we've had to kind of make this decision. Do we want to do the best we can in the time we have, or do we want to just give all our time here and hope that we can make a difference for the one? Because he takes so much, he takes every bit of my attention, he takes every bit of energy I have. And that was the decision that we have come to, is, instead of, I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be open to, a weekend or something if we know
Yeah.
that it's, a short time, or babysitting for other, I say babysitting, it's called respite
Mm.
care for other families so that they can have a break,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, it's, we kind of watch each other's, because to you can't just have someone babysit these kiddos. I can't just, call the little girl down the road who's 15 and
Oh,
doing good and say, hey, I'll pay you,
right.
30, 40 bucks, and, let us get out.
Yeah.
No, they have to have
Yeah.
background checks. There is a whole process, that a vetting process to go for them to be with anyone else, and that
Oh,
makes it
wow. I didn't
very
even think
hard.
of that. Yeah.
Yes. So that makes times like on my YouTube time, there are people like me who are on here for things like this, where that this is kind of my getaway, my little branch out into the rest of the world, because
Right.
I I don't have the luxury of stepping away. And like I said, it's those come to Jesus moments where you have to just think, okay, if I can really help one, then, and I guess do one job well, or do 10 jobs half ass, not to be crass, but you
Yeah.
see what I'm saying. So
Oh,
I,
totally.
I'm kind of at that
It's true.
place of, for me to do this one well, I am going to have to back off with others and focus primarily on this. And
And
that
that makes
is,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, but this was a hard one because we didn't go into this thinking that we would be long term, and we would not have stayed there if he wasn't. So here's the good part: we wouldn't have stayed there if he wasn't thriving the way he's thriving, and flourishing beyond anything that anybody ever thought. And
Oh,
that
wow.
has made me have to rethink, okay, if they found permanent placement, what would this set him back? How far could this set this little one back? And we went from a kiddo who is nonverbal to one who does not stop talking. I mean, just,
Oh my God.
I
In a
mean,
matter of
goodness.
how long, about how long from when he was
This
nonverbal? Yeah.
was October. He had
Of
so
last
he
year?
is he's 5, and he had not spoke until October of 2022, and
Ah,
now
oh
we
my
cannot get this child to
God.
stop talking. Sometimes I'm like, oh goodness, I got to have an Excedrin. This baby does
Oh,
not stop.
oh my
We
God.
had
That is
Yes,
amazing.
he when he came to us, he was 5 years old and 28 pounds, and extremely malnourished.
Mm.
And I
Yeah,
mean, just,
what's the like the typical weight for a 5-year-old?
honestly, I know mine were closer to the 40s. Um,
Okay. Yeah, that sounds probably
and now
right.
I don't know where I know where he was at medically
Yeah.
on a scale. He was, at 1%. It was, and he is now, I mean, we still have eating issues, and that comes with well, it comes with both. See, again, there we're at this place where we just don't know, because we know that there is, food trauma, and then that mirrors ASD symptoms. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a hard thing to know for sure. But we've got a kiddo
Yeah.
who is gaining and was lethargic and really didn't have much to do, and now he's bouncing off the walls. He was in for a blood test regularly. I mean, my goodness, it was like we were constantly going in to just see where his nutrients were, and to the
Oh
extent
well.
that he has eye damage, he has cognitive damage from malnourishment. People do not understand just how much just our regular nutrients work on our brains at a young age. And when you are feeding your kids chips and McDonald's, and listen, I am just as bad about let's drive through McDonald's so mom don't have to cook. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there
Sure.
is a difference when you live off of nothing with nutritional value, that you lose
Yeah,
cognitive, there is delays there is that is how our brain grows, how our these things work. And so
definitely.
we went from that to like I said, bouncing off the walls. And academically, we are well within where we're supposed to be now. Socially, that's the struggle, there is the social skills
It's
part. And
harder.
I think that's where, they mirror each other. Academically, soaring, and social skills are a real struggle. It's
Okay.
just kind of the yeah. And it's like, my goodness, I look at my age, how hard it is for me to navigate social situations, and
Right.
then think of trying to have to do that at that age. And I guess, there's, yeah, it's like, yeah, a lot of times, luckily at that age, they don't even realize that, they're
Yeah.
they're differently thinking. But it's yeah. Okay, I said I was going to shut up like three
Right.
times. So, yeah, I'll
Oh,
actually shut
stop.
up. And I would love if somebody, it's your panel. But yeah, I was real
No, no.
curious to get advice and things that other
Yeah,
people have done. And I said, this was more than I had ever dealt
definitely.
with.
Yeah. It's so much. How many kids through the years would you say that you had come in and out through your house?
I can tell you exactly 19.
Oh my God.
Yes. I said
Wow.
I look in the mirror all the time, and I have crooked front teeth. And it has kind of become a badge of honor, because I have braced so many kids at this point. And because, it's something that state
Oh,
doesn't
oh,
cover. And when they're not biological children, you can't hardly get them on your insurance. So there's been so many times where they would be in the budget, and then I'd be like, this one has got to have it. And I would rather that
oh my God.
they get what's going to help them not have the same self-conscious issues that I have later on in life, if that makes sense.
Oh,
So I was
that's a
like,
major blessing for them.
it's
Yeah.
like there's sometimes where you just have to take it with like a badge of honor. I was like, one of these days I'm going to get that fixed. And
Yes.
it's like, no, I won't. It's not going to happen. It's just not
One day.
one day it'll just be us, and we're going to just, splurge on ourselves. And then every time, here I am crawling up there every year, and I'm like, well, let's start over and go again.
So,
So, and that's kind
so,
of why I'm here, is because the need is never met, and there's just never enough.
well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, it never will be, you know? The need will never be met. These
It,
kids are always going to need places to
yes.
go. And it's unfortunate when they got to go to a group home, you
Oh
know?
yeah. At that
That's really
point,
unfortunate.
the statistically, you kind of know where we're going to end up at that point, and that is,
Uh,
it's gut wrenching. But there are times when, we, as bad as it sounds, there are times when I have to put my mental health first, because I can't take care of someone else if my mental health is not well. And our household as a whole, our family as a whole, has to be intact, or none of this works. And I mean, there really is a, don't get me wrong. I am absolutely, to this day, madly in love with my man. I think he's the sexiest man alive in my eyes. And I hope you would say the same. However, we have definitely butted heads through the years on just
right.
being stressed out. And patience, my goodness, your patience, you think you have all the patience in the world. And when my kiddos were asked if they could say one thing that we had, that, because they do like a questionnaire, one thing that they had across the board, it was patience. And I was like, oh yeah, well, that has been tried. Tried, tested, and we just take turns. It's like, okay, I need a break. I'm going to go talk to Tara on the deck, and it's your turn. And then sometimes they'll say, okay, I'm going to take my break, and now you take your break. And but when you have
Yeah.
that many people, and I just got to say it, on with spectrum disorder, all of us are uniquely different, and all of us have different, some of them, some of those things align, like you and
Right.
I, you can have things that you're like, oh my gosh, I do the same thing. And then, I've got food issues across the board, um texture issues, color issues. It is
Right.
across the board. It just is never ending. I feel like it is a madhouse when it comes to dinner, because
Oh my
there are food
God.
issues across the board. And I didn't have that I have taken notice to. And I didn't notice it so much, I guess, to show it as much grace, because I have, one son who is such a hard person to feed. And I would be, when I was younger, I was like, here's what you're getting. You can eat it or don't. That's just it. And this was with, advice of a child psychologist and doctors and so forth. They're not going to starve themselves. Well, let me tell you, they will. Until they reach a certain age, they will absolutely starve themselves. And the one we have now has been hospitalized several times. And but then my my husband has texture issues, and I can just be like,
Okay.
how can you not eat this? How are you not able to eat this? Well, because he can't handle certain textures. And it's just,
Okay.
is, like I said, kitchen time is a madhouse. So everybody uniquely has their own stuff, and Lord knows they
Right.
never align at the same time. So there's going, as soon as you think you've got the fires put out, another one. And I don't know if, in your group you have hyper focus. I mean, that is a hard one for me, because I, like I said, I have my own stuff. And then when I have, three of them hyper focused on, I need this right this second. I need this right now.
Okay.
And they go, go, go. And it's like a dog with a bone. My phone's not working. My phone's not working. My phone's not working. And the other one is, I want this. I need this. I need this. The pencil needs sharpened pencil. And they're right among, then your kind of social anxiety or sensory kicks in, where it's like, okay, everybody, this is too much.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
take five. And because mom is having sensory overload. So yeah, it's
Right.
different. I can't see the chat at all. I'm just carrying on, and I don't even know if anybody else is
That's
talking or here, if it's just
aw,
me.
no, you're good. You're totally
So,
good. Hey, Bootsy. Hey, Colin. Grateful MC, Natural Born Leader. Misty. We got a few people in
we've
here.
got we. Those are all my favorites. So I mean, absolutely, we have everybody's my favorites, but you've got okay. Now I see where I can go. It's kind of that place of everyone who's nice and kind and yes. Oh, hold on. My
Oh, I'm
kid's
so
new
sorry.
McDonald was a treat, not anything regular. Exactly, Glenn.
Yeah,
That's exactly where I raised mine at was, stuff like eating out was a treat. That wasn't something that we just did. Like I said, it's also a
yeah,
treat for mom because I don't have dishes and the hassle of cooking and that stuff. But
big time.
there's so many cognitive delays that have come through that are from simple malnutrition. And that is, and it's one thing. I
Isn't
mean,
that
don't get me
something
wrong,
people don't really think about it, I
it's
think.
not. It's like, okay, were they without food? No, they weren't without food. They lived off of McDonald's and potato chips and these things of no nutritional value. And you're, no, no, no. You got to keep that in mind. Our youngest one has serious eye damage, and it is
Oh,
100% because of not getting the nutrients that his body needed to be able
uh,
to, these are things that, yeah, it's,
oh, wow.
but I appreciate you sharing your panel with me. I want to give somebody else a chance, please.
All
It's
right.
Willa. Yes, I don't
Thank
know,
you
I
so
can
much.
just exit out here.
Thanks. Yeah, I think so. Or I could probably even remove you.
There we go.
You should be.
Absolutely adore you. Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you so much for coming on. Your story is incredible, and I hope that people will be inspired to think about doing the same.
Thank
For
you.
sure. Thank you.
Love
Anytime you
you.
want to come on, feel free. You're always welcome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you all. I'm going to be down in the chat.
All right.
Bye, honey.
Okay. Let me see here. I gotta. Whoops. Yep. There we go. All right. Classless 2 hours a week, everybody. That was classless or classy some days. I think she also goes by classy some days. Sorry, guys. I know I didn't really address the chat. I'm so sorry. I just feel like when I'm having a personal one-on-one kind of conversation with a panelist, I'd rather just let them speak. Excuse me. And then I would address the chat mostly afterwards. But no offense to anybody, please. I'm sure you guys know me by now. James Blonde, thank you so much. Aw, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. I don't pay attention to the craziness, James Blonde. Grateful MC, always good to see you. Natural born leader, right? Isn't that so amazing? You know, to imagine turning your home and your life over like that, knowing that it's going to be temporary, so I would imagine she's got to go in somewhat emotionally reserved, you know, to the extent that you could be at least. I can't, but it's so inspiring. Yeah. Oh, I love you too. Grateful MC. That's an incredible story. I get so offended, natural born leader. Kimmy Love. That was awesome. So cool. Yeah, she does have a beautiful heart. Absolutely. Ah, that's so funny. Evelyn, did you come to say goodnight? Do you want to say goodnight to people on YouTube?
Yes.
Say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
she just she's so funny. We're talking about like how empathy and how our kids pick up on our emotions and stuff. I swear to you, she's been in the other room. She's been in her bedroom this whole time, and she came out just now because like she vibes in on stuff. She vibes in on stuff. She sensed like an opportunity for her to come out and say goodnight to me. She is. She's just so funny. I swear. Is she funny or what? If anybody else would like to come up, I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the chat. I swear, she just vibes in with me all the time. She's so funny. She likes to come up to me and press her face right up against mine, and she doesn't say anything. She just looks at me, and I swear her eyes convey so much. She's literally trying to communicate with me telepathically. She's such a trip. I'll put the link in the chat if anybody else wants to come up. And then if not, I guess I'll wrap it up. No, I don't think Classless has a channel. I mean, we all have a channel, but I don't think she has a channel like that. Misty, Bootsy, Colin, thanks for stopping in, guys. Yeah. Grateful MC. I know. One day I would like to create a members only stream. I'll probably do it for next week. And I'll start it out. I want to see what would happen if I tell Evelyn to just like go live. If I tell her here, go live, and I would see like what she would say, if she would address people or what she might say. Probably not much, but she might address people because like the last few times I gave her the phone when we were live, and instead, I usually would tell her, say hi, Grateful MC, or say hi, classless, and then she would say the names. But the past few times, I handed her the phone, but I didn't give her any direction. And she just independently said, like, hi, natural born leader. And I was like, whoa, I was impressed. Might be raising a little streamer. She does like to make videos. Right, classless? I'll put it on members only, so it's not a big thing. This way, however it goes, it's just a few of us. Right? Natural born leader, you remember that. She independently said the names, and I was like, oh, look at her go. I wanted to see what she would do if I didn't tell her to say hi to anybody. I wanted to tell her to try to do a makeup live on her own and then not give her any instruction and just kind of sit back and watch and see what she would do. Hey, Green Goblin. Tara. Tara. She is. She is my mini me. It's so funny. People that know my husband are like, "Oh my God, she looks just like you," and then people that know me are like, "Oh my God, she's like just like you." She does look a lot like him too, even though she has like my coloring and stuff and looks a lot like me. She has his eyes and I guess his nose. Hey, quirky Carlotta. Scary to come forward. Made it just a conversation amongst friends. Aw, thank you so much, classless. I appreciate that. I'm so glad that's exactly how I wanted you to feel. It's like people don't understand the kind of stuff that goes on in real life, I think, sometimes. And you feel like, oh, this stuff must only happen in the movies. Or maybe I even think that, honestly. I think even I live kind of a sheltered existence. And I hear stories from people, and I'm like, holy smokes, like, yeah. And, it could be scary, but it's also inspiring to think of like, people do these things, and it's amazing. Like in my eyes, you're like, an everyday hero for real, because you know people don't get credit for stuff like that, but that does make you a hero. These kids have nowhere else to go, and I could only imagine what goes on in the group homes. Yeah. The kids are lucky to have you. You always thought Kimberly was your YouTube wife, Green Goblin? Kimberly. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I have this horrible smoker's hack. For real, it's so true. It's like stuff out of the movies. No, but that's the thing, classless, is that, I don't know. It's inspiring for sure. It really is. I didn't get to ask you, so I guess like you waited until your own kids were grown to do this. I kind of got the gist that that's what it was, that you waited until your kids were grown. Not your own kids, you know what I mean. Sorry, that sounded messed up. I didn't mean it to sound like that. Yeah. Give me, if you give me a ring later. Oh, you don't work in the morning, natural born leader? Okay. Glam with Kimberly. What's going on with you and Green Goblin? It is absolutely inspiring. Didn't get officially licensed until my kids were grown. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. It's really, really cool. I commend you. I really, really commend you for that. It's such an honorable thing. And then to go in knowing that it's going to be temporary and it's got to be so emotional, but you do it. And to let them feel that safety and everything, it's amazing to me. Yeah, no, it really is. Don't sell yourself short. Exactly. I know that it'll be an inspiration to many people, for sure. Friends ended up in the system. Oh, well. And ultimately ended up under my care. Mm. Yeah, it definitely takes a special kind of person to do that. The kind of things kind of led to things with them having friends who ended up in the system that ultimately ended up under my care. Oh, we appreciate having you, classless. Anytime you want to come up and hang out, feel free. My panel is your panel. You didn't know Green Goblin? Yes, you do. Glam with Kimberly. Yes, you do. I bet they know us, though. I could only imagine. I don't know. Sometimes people change their names. I don't know. I got a vibe from Green Goblin that I must know them, and they must know us. What's that, Kimberly? Liking for a clip? Looking for a clip? Oh yeah, definitely. Put some good in the world. I'm sure. Absolutely. Okay, that's cool. If anybody else wants to come up, people can come up. If not, I'll probably wrap up in about 5 minutes. And then we could see what else is going on in these YouTube streets. You know, I saw Michelle was live this morning, but I didn't really catch a lot of it, honestly. I did catch Renaya on her panel. That was interesting. I'll say that. It's very interesting. Did anybody else catch that? Oh my God, classless. Classless is laughing. You freaking caught it, didn't you? Did you see? Did you see Renaya come and show up on Michelle's panel this morning? I didn't understand that. I don't know. Kimberly, you didn't see it? Oh well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. What if I was to go on a panel? I'd probably not do it like I don't know on the toilet. She was on the toilet. Am I bugging, guys? No. Did somebody else see this? Renaya, yeah, was sitting on her toilet. Yeah, and then Michelle was like, Renaya, they can see you. You know, everybody can see you. Everybody can see you. And she's just like, I know, hi everybody. So she knew her. I don't know. I can't say anything, but like it was weird. Okay, Glasses saw it. Okay. Okay. Right. I was like, what am I watching? Kimberly. I don't know. It's like, what am I looking at? Yeah. I guess it was like to illustrate that she was sick. More attention to the throne. Well, because I really couldn't believe my eyes, you know. Still, when I think about it, I can't believe it. I didn't know her like that at all, but like we were mods together. It was just strange to me to see that. I know I can't be the only one thinking, what the hell? I really like couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. Not like the first time on YouTube that my eyes can't believe it. It's like my eyes can't friggin' my process what's like my brain can't process what my eyes are seeing. There's been so many moments like that on YouTube. The throne. Hey, we all worship it. Exactly. I was like, what on earth is going on here? Yeah, I really, I don't know. I couldn't really get past it. Yeah. I mean, I was I was still laughing about it hours later, randomly. Like a couple of hours later, I couldn't stop even stream from my throat because it just didn't make sense to me. I was like, wait, what? And Michelle looked pretty weirded out too by it, which was funny because that's like her mod, you know? So it was how is she really going to react? Like she has to react nicely. All she could say was, everybody can see you. Right. She knew that. Hmm. You know, like, I mean, nothing wrong with it if that's what you choose to do. I don't care. More power to you. But I just thought it was very strange. Like, I wouldn't want to do that on YouTube. But teach their own. Who cares? I mean, Ski used to stream from his bathroom too, right? The hell is going on with Ski? Anybody know? I didn't see him live. Maybe I don't know. I feel like I didn't see him live the past couple of days. Oh shoot! I thought you were gonna say my mic was off. Classless. I was like, oh no. Well, yeah, yeah. Exactly. No, but she knew it was on. She knew it was on, smiling all happy. And I was like, oh, okay. This is different, you know. The library, pick a good book. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still just like wrapping my mind around it. You know, it was funny. Oh, shoot. Wait one sec. Sorry. Oh, wow. That would have sucked. I thought God was going to punish me. I almost turned my cam on by accident. I went to do something and I almost turned on my cam by accident. That would have been funny, right? That would have been really funny. Instant karma. I know what the hell I'm doing. I'm accidentally clipping myself on my other phone. Yeah, that's why it was funny watching Michelle's reaction. Yeah, because like, what is she gonna do? You know, it was pretty funny. I enjoyed that part of her stream. I don't really remember the rest of it, to be honest. Just that part. I don't know what else she was going on. Oh, she was on one about Flava. Is that what it was? That she was exposing her or something? I know. I wanted to go in her chat and be like, "Wait a minute. So if Flavor did everything, then what did I do?" Because I thought you said I did everything. It's always that well, like one person did everything. Everything. I hope that she didn't know her camera was on. Oh, that's possible, but she didn't look not one bit surprised. Michelle was like, "Everybody can see you," and she's like, "Okay, grateful." And she just smiled, and was like, "Hi, everybody." Ain't grateful. Dinner time. See, I just got a bit right before I jumped on it. Yeah, she was on one about Flava. And she had text to show with that, too, you know? But yet she's never produced any text at all from me. Or if she did, it was the same friggin' ones that I showed. That's why I was like, you know what? Why don't you show whatever text you got? That's never gonna happen. Post selfies, not realizing. Oh my god, really? That's it's so funny, but it's true. It's definitely true. Kimberly, what? Clips from last night? Were there? Smearcat got you. Smearcat, I think, might have. Yeah. Oh, I guess I'm gonna wrap up here, guys. Thank you so much, Classless, for coming on and being my special guest tonight. I really, really appreciate you sharing that story. It's so personal, and I just know that a lot of people could really benefit and be inspired from hearing that. So I hope that the right people get to hear that message. Glam with Kimberly, thank you. Grateful MC, natural born leader. Thank you so much, mods, subscribers, friends. Love you guys. I'm gonna go live in the morning actually. I have a live set for 9 a.m. I'm gonna do a little weekly recap. So we'll recap some things in the morning. Love you guys. Have a great night. Take care. Oh shoot. Kimberly, that's right. Drop your link, Kimberly. Kimberly is gonna do open panel tomorrow at what 3 p.m. Eastern. Kimberly's gonna have an open panel tomorrow. You put your link in the chat, Kimberly, if you want to. Yeah. Go subscribe to Glam with Kimberly. 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, I think. I think. All right. Love you guys. Good night.